This is a bittersweet Mother's Day for me, as my child is 4,000 miles away, too far away to give me a hug, much less make me breakfast. As my grandmother used to say, every step a child takes is a step away from her mother. That's the bitter part of it, but it's also incredibly sweet watching my daughter explore the world to find her place in it. I have dreamed of this for her, and it is my greatest delight to watch her spread her wings and fly. Of course, it's terrifying too. I try not to think about every possible thing that could happen, though of course that's what mothers do. At least that's what I think other mothers do, based upon a throw pillow that used to live on the couch in my old college apartment. On it was cross-stitched this message: "Call your mother, she worries." I do not even know which roommate's mother had given her daughter this pillow, but as a result, not one but 4 young women were subjected to seeing that message every time we ventured into the living room. I'm not sure the pillow made us call our mothers any more often than our pillowless peers, but it sure beat that message into our heads. Now, as much as I like the idea of my daughter calling me, and often, I'm not sure that is the message I would choose if I were the type of person prone to cross-stitching words onto pillows. I just don't want her to think of me in a constant state of worry and fret for her. That is not a useful message. But I do like the idea of sending children off with a message. A few key words that can center them, remind them of what is important, especially on the days that test them. It's actually a very Jesus-y thing to do, as it turns out. We are not told whether Jesus had any children of his own, but he did see his closest followers as his spiritual children. And when it became clear that his time with them was almost up, he gave them a few words that would guide them in the days and years to come when they would have to navigate life without him. He shared his parting words with them at the supper table on a Thursday night, his very last. After several years of pouring love and wisdom into his beloved friends, those final hours together were of the greatest importance. Jesus chose his words carefully. Like a wise parent, he reminded them that the way of life he had shown them was the way of truth and life for them to follow, always. His way of living in close relationship with God and with others was the only way they would satisfy their deepest longing. Like adoring children, they hung onto his every word, but like real children, they struggled to understand. Jesus' overflowing wisdom was more than their spiritual sippy cups could hold, so he began speaking to the heart of the matter, giving them the simplest version of life advice that he could. What we are about to hear comes from John chapter 14, verses 15 through 21, and it's a bit much to stitch onto a pillow, but after we hear it, maybe we can find a way to distill it into just a few words. Hear Jesus speaking to those closest to his heart. He said, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments. I will ask the Father, who will send another companion who will be with you forever. This companion is the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it neither sees nor recognizes it. You know it because it lives with you and will be with you. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Soon the world will no longer see me, but you will see me. Because I live, you will live too. On that day you will know that I am in my Father, you are in me, and I am in you. Whoever has my commandments and keeps them loves me. Whoever loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love them and reveal myself to them. If you love me, you will keep my commandments." Is that Jesus' way of demanding his disciples prove their love to him? Sort of like a parent saying, "If you love me, you will call home every day. You know how much I worry?" No, I don't think this is Jesus being needy or manipulative. He is simply stating a fact. His disciples will keep his commandments out of love for him. Another way of hearing it might be, "Because you love me, I know you will keep my commandments," spoken with the assurance that comes from knowing he has successfully imparted both love and wisdom to those disciples. Of course they love him, and of course they will keep his commandments. Which are what exactly? Just before saying all of this, Jesus had given his followers what he called a new commandment, that they love one another. He said, "Just as I have loved you, you should also love one another. That was John 13:34. He would circle back to those same words just a little bit later, telling them a second time, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. John 15:12. His disciples could not miss the point. If they loved Jesus, because they loved Jesus, they would keep his commandment, loving one another as he had loved them. All right, get your embroidery needles ready, friends. Here is the message for our throw pillow. Love one another as I have loved you. You all know what love looks like because I've shown it to you. And are we still stitching? Now we're going to need to buy stock in both pillows and embroidery floss because that's too many words. Whatever shall we do? How about just one word? And how about love? I think that will do. Because if there is but one message that the world needs, if there is one thing that will in fact accomplish God's goal of saving the broken, hurting world, where people succumb every day to despair, firing shots into classrooms or cutting distress signals into their own flesh, if there is one way for God's will to be done here on earth, if there is one word that sums up what we need, all of humanity and all of creation, it is love. Love for God, love for each other, love for everything that lives and breathes, love for the things that walk and swim and fly and even crawl, love for the rivers that flow and the things that grow, love for everything on earth over which God breathed sacred breath, calling it into being and calling it good. Love one another as you have been loved. This is the spirit of all things, the essence of what makes the whole thing work, the purpose for which we have all been created. The God of love who chose to bring this world into being seems, for all we know, to have done so out of pure love, wishing to be in relationship with the likes of us, which is sometimes hard to understand. But then I think about how much I love my own child, and no matter what she ever could do or fail to do, my love for her would never be less. If human beings are capable of loving this way, how much greater is God's love for us? It was because of that great love that God chose to enter into tangible relationship with humanity, becoming one of us, to know us and to be known by us, which had such a profound impact on those who got to know God in the person of Jesus. But the catch to knowing God in human form is that human forms, they don't live forever. It's the great cost to love, as we all know, that we eventually will lose the ones we love the most. In the case of losing the incarnation of God, that would have been an unbearable loss, except for this. Jesus gave his disciples one final gift that night, the assurance that he would be with them always, forever, in the companion, which he also called the Spirit of Truth, which they would know because that Spirit lived within them and would be with them. That essence, that Spirit, like the sacred breath filling their lungs, as close as their next breath, that would never be taken from them. And that is what has been given to us also, even though we were not there to meet Jesus in the flesh. We too have inherited the Spirit of truth, the essence of Jesus, which lives on even now in those who keep his commandments of loving each other. We meet the Spirit, this essence of Jesus, this expression of God and how we are loved. If you would close your eyes for a moment and simply recall a time when you have felt unconditionally loved, and know that God's love for you is even greater than that. What a gift it is to be so loved. And because we are so loved, there is only one response: to love like that, to love each other like that, even when we disappoint each other, even when we disagree with each other, even when we dislike each other, as siblings have been known to do from time to time. We have all known families who were held together by a loving parent who have not managed to sustain their connection once that loving parent was gone. You've known those families, right? Jesus knew that his disciples, with their incredibly diverse perspectives on life, they were at high risk for falling into that category without him there to tie them together. And that is why he promised to send them what he called the Parakletos, a Greek word meaning someone who comes alongside someone else. In Greek culture, that word Parakletos meant something like a family attorney. So we might picture the bereaved disciples sitting at a table to hear the Parakletos read to them from Jesus' last will and testament. And what would it say? Probably something like this: "My dearest disciples, I gave you your inheritance early. It was love. Your spiritual bank accounts are filled up with it. Do not hoard, just go and love one another. This is my commandment. Love Jesus. That was it, his legacy, the final message he wanted his friends to have, written on their hearts, if not stitched onto a pillow. Love one another. And this would be the way for them to keep him close, he who had brought them into deep relationship with God and with each other. Even in his absence, they would be forever connected to God as long as they maintained love for each other. Love would be the thing that would keep Jesus alive, just the way our loved ones are kept alive when we keep doing whatever it is they taught us to do. Jesus' message has now been handed down for at least 100 generations, as his spiritual children shared it with their spiritual children, and so on and so forth until now. It is ours. What remains to be seen is what we will do with it. The two questions this week that I give you for if you are participating in writing an Eastertide spiritual biography are these. How have you experienced unconditional love? And do you ever struggle to accept that you are unconditionally beloved to God? You are beloved to God, and I pray that you feel that and know that and live that truth.